Okay, sorry. Whoops, that's the wrong layout. Sorry for the delay, guys. We're now starting our Prime 2 6% run by M177. So yeah, I guess I'll just count the run in and then we can get going. So 3, 2, 1, go. And there's also a lot of people here to commentate because M177 doesn't have a microphone, so you guys can introduce yourselves and good luck on the run.
Okay, DF, you want to go first?
Yeah, so hi, I'm DF.
I'm Cordy, and we're on the keyboard.
Yeah, I'm
anyway,
Cordy.
so this is Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes 6%. So a brief history of Echoes low percent. It started kind of with 17% a long time ago by DJ Granola, and it was kind of like the first run with Out of Bounds, and it was like a centerpiece in getting Out of Bounds like allowed on SDA, and that kind of wasn't low percent at the time, but it was like the lowest percent anybody did. And then before ILS, which is the first trick that he's going to be doing coming up, it was 14%. And ILS was found in 2010, I believe, so it was 14% for quite a while. And then coming up is ILS. DF, you want to explain ILS?
So ILS, it's an infinite speed. Infinite speed is a glitch where you can get stuck in collision when a room is on transition. Basically, that means the room you're in is on the wrong map, or the map is on the wrong room. And you hold a direction for about 45-50 seconds, and your speed increases constantly until after 50 seconds, and then the game just freaks out. And then when you boost into one of the crates in the further rooms, or the further part of the room, you go out of bounds because two cutscenes play at once. The one where Samus falls down the hole plays first, so that causes Samus's position to, I don't know, it just causes it to be weird.
Thrown out of bounds, basically, and it's not, and I guess it's as consistent as you can be. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and I believe that's because your speed is alternating every other frame between two different values, and you want to boost on there you got it. So you want to boost on when it's at the higher value, and place him out of bounds here. And then after ILS was found, Miles, he ended up doing 8%. Where he got Dark Suit, Light Suit, Dark Beam, Light Beam, Dark Visor, Screw Attack, Violet Translator, and Main Power Downs. And at the time, he just kind of wanted to see how low he could do it, and I don't know the time frame, but I believe 7%, which skipped Violet Translator, will come very shortly after. And 7% was the low percent for a very long time, until Miles found Light Show cancel, which then allowed us to get Morph Ball and Vulnerability, which we'll touch on later. Allowed us to get Morph Ball and Ability, which allows us to skip the Draxus without Dark Suit or any E-Tanks. And right now he's going to Aegon, because he really doesn't need anything at Temple Grounds, and he's going to go to Aegon and get Dark Beam and Light Beam right away, and he's going to do a wall call with Dark Beam. And to explain Echoes, in Echoes, a lot of times, weird things just kind of happen for seemingly no reason, and the best answer we can come up with is it's because it's Echoes. It crashes sometimes, it rarely crashes, but it can. And the game just seems to want to screw you over in every way possible. So, it's not only if you're on hard, there's Echoes shenanigans to be involved in here. He's doing Sand-Digger. Get the Sand-Digger to throw him out of bounds so you can walk around the Dark Beam. And, okay, so DF, you want to explain Out of Bounds?
Okay, so Out of Bounds is very complicated and it's very hard to explain, but I will try my best. So Out of Bounds has this thing we call Aether. And Aether, you're considered to always be standing, So you can't really jump. It doesn't let you jump, but there's these edges of the box that you can pull yourself out of that make you fall downward, and you can constantly pull yourself out of the box to jump. This is a free-frame window, so you can constantly jump out of the box back into the ether to constantly get height. And usually it's by the door, or you can also use the map to find the end of the box as well.
Yeah, some boxes, Sanctuary, extend really far for seemingly no reason, and rooms with Terminal Vault, which is where you have falling right out, those boxes also extend very, very low, so falling out of bounds can cost a lot of time. Here, he's scanning this post so that he can, because you can't get through the gate on the other side if you don't open it. And another thing to mention about out of bounds, I'm not sure if you have touched on this, if you morph, you will fall instantly until you unmorph, which will play a very large role later.
Additionally, you may see him move in weird spots when he's moving out of bounds. We call this wall crawling, which is just jumping out of bounds navigation. He's trying to touch load trigger so the room will load. And you may see him get close to doors and shoot them as well, because that also loads the rooms. He also has to be careful when he's loading the rooms, because if he loads too many rooms at once, the game will crash. Or if you press R in a certain door, the game will crash, which is...
yeah, this door coming up right here, the transition to the room with the Dark Samus cutscene, not the fight itself, but this missile door. If you hold R, press R, and the reticle's kind of like still on the screen or whatever, the game just kind of crashes, and I don't know why, we just know why, we don't have any explanation other than you just held R, so the game crashed. And here, instead of fighting Dark Samus, he's going to skip Dark Samus by just letting the Dark Beam room load around him, which allows him to get to Dark Beam without fighting Dark Samus. And he transitions to the Dark Beam room because it allows the room with Dark Samus in it to reload during the cutscene, so it saves time, basically.
So now he's just going to play this
So, basically, the beginning was a lot about like even in 80%, this is the section where a big section of inbounds, basically, just to get light beam because there really isn't too much to speed this up. And light beam and dark beam are very important for getting for traversing the dark and the light ether. Oh, and he hits the save point there, so that the room loads while he's in the cutscene of the save point.
Boy.
Yeah, okay.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, we're very sorry. We've been having troubles with Mumble, as well. So we've been having trouble connecting and everything.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, is that better? Okay.
Can you hear us now?
We good? Okay. So, oh, that's sound effects volume. Yeah.
Alright, good.
Okay. So, I guess we should explain how bounds again, like to start.
Oh boy.
Because. Okay.
It's true.
Okay.
Alright, is everything good now?
It should be. Okay.
Okay, it sounds good.
Okay, it's better. Okay.
So, should we explain out of bounds again?
Yeah.
Okay, so out of bounds is very strange and very complicated. It's very hard to explain, but we'll try our best to explain it. So, basically, when you're out of bounds, you're always standing and you can't jump. And this is called standing on Aether. So, when you're in Aether, you can't jump because the game doesn't let you, but at the end of the rooms and their boxes, we call them boxes for simplicity, you can fall out of the room's box, and you can fall all the way down to the bottom, and from this point, you can jump back up, pull yourself back into the room's box, jump back out of the box, and get back in. This is called Aether jumping, so you can constantly regain height over and over again. So you can get higher and higher, so you can get on doors, transition, etc. I'll explain transitioning and loading in a little bit. So,
So I can go on. Another thing about you're in morph ball mode, you will fall infinitely until you unmorph, and this is a huge issue later when he's trying to skip Quadraxis. And also, what the thing is when you're in Ether, you slowly float up. And what is great about this is you can only jump within 3 frames of leaving the Ether, so when you're on the floor of the box, since you're slowly floating, you'll slowly leave it, and within those 3 frames, if you mash, you can get a jump, and then get into the side, as DF was saying, the side of the box, and leave it, and jump within those 3 frames. And there's also the top that's called the Skywalk, the box, and then sometimes he might move in weird ways from out of bounds, and that's because he's trying to hit a load trigger, because doors load by hitting a load trigger or shooting it and getting close to it. And oftentimes in casual play, you're going to hit a load trigger first because that's how they're designed. But in some instances, there are doors where it's going to shoot and get to the side of it to load the next room. And then also, if you have too many rooms loaded at once, the game will crash. So while out of bounds, you have to be very careful about which rooms you load. And here again is the Sand Digger wall crawl, or Secret World, excuse me, where he's attempting to get the Sand Digger to throw him out of bounds again. So then this time he's going to use it to wall crawl to Torvis, using the Torvis elevator in Aegon.
Secret World is just a term for an out-of-bounds entrance, just for
And then-
simplicity.
Yeah, and then a wall crawl is traversing out of bounds. And there he just transitioned to the save room and is going to ether jump up the side to get to Torvis through these secret doors here. I guess I should explain how low percents evolved again. So, DJ Granola, a long time ago, 2006, I think, MG told me, I forgot, he did a 17% run with Out of Bounds, and I'm not 100% sure if that was actually low percent at the time, but it's the lowest percent anybody beat the game with at the time. And it was actually a centerpiece in the argument for allowing Out of Bounds on SDA, because at the time SDA was the premier, it was the big place for speedruns, so it still is pretty decently large, has a large community, but so that was a very big centerpiece in the argument to allow Out of Bounds. And then 14% turned out to be the lowest percent before ILS, item loss skip, and then it went to 8%, Miles did 8%, and he did not skip Violet Translator, but it was probably possible at the time, and shortly later 7% was completed, which got Dark Suit, Light Suit, Dark Visor, Dark Beam, Light Beam, Main Power Bombs, and Screw Attack. And now 6% after Miles found Light Show Cancel, which allowed you to get MBI, Morph Ball Invulnerability, to skip Quadraxis. That allowed us to skip Quadraxis without Dark Suit and no E-Tanks. Which is a pain to do.
The reason why the items are required...
And so he's going to fight these pirates out of bounds.
Dark Beam and Light Beam are required because obviously you want to traverse through the portals, Dark Aether, Light Aether, and just open doors. Screw Attack is required because it skips a whole bunch of other items. You'll see that later. Main Power Bombs are required because there's a Sky Temple key that does not exist until you collect Main Power Bombs. Dark Visor is required because you need the Dark Visor to even get the Sky Temple keys, and you need Light Suit to get most of the Sky Temple keys, and not die.
Okay, so he fought those pirates to put him back in bounds. And the reason he's had to fight those pirates was because the barrier blocking super missiles actually extends down really far, which is actually a big issue because it blocks you from getting into Lower Torvis until it's cleared. And that's the only reason he has to fight those pirates and clear it, and then come to Torvis and do another secret world to wall crawl to Lower Torvis to get the main power bombs, is because of that one gate that extends really far down for no reason, because retro and echoes. So
a lot of the things in this game we just say it's because it's Echoes. Because Echoes is just likes to screw you over.
And there are a lot of instances where things happen, so a lot of people you can't really explain it. Weird happen in Echoes. So it's usually just because Echoes, and that's about as good of an explanation you're gonna get. So here he's going to do a bomb space jump onto this ledge. A bomb is if you get hit up by a bomb while you're in morph up, and you get an instant unmorph, you can jump out of that instant unmorph within 22 frames of leaving the ground. It's used to gain height, and here he's using it to hit over the gate, and it's for a secret world, which allows him to walk on Lower Torvis. And it was actually found in Echoes first, but it's also in Prime 1 and Prime 3. It's a lot easier and useful in Echoes as opposed to Prime 1 because of your camera. It's a lot easier to to manipulate your camera to give you an instant unmorphin echoes as opposed to Prime 1.
So there's this wall crawling to lower Taurus because he needs to get the main power bombs because it's the only one he's allowed to get. Because if he gets another one, he can't get the one Sky Temple key I mentioned, which is in Dark Aegon. It just does not appear until you have the main power bomb upgrade.
Yep. And this wall is actually kind of a good example here in these rooms of how you have to manage different boxes, because some of them are larger than others, and some of them, management and knowing where the ether is. It's, if you've never wall crawled before, there's a lot of trial and error if you've never wall crawled through certain rooms, because you have to find where, find the ether, and when you have multiple rooms loaded, the ether changes, and it changes, so you have to, a lot of times, when they're very skilled at wall crawling, have learned how to manage multiple different boxes, I guess you could say, and figure out where the ether is, because it can get very confusing if you load a room without realizing it. Changes where all the ether be. Really annoying.
So this is the skywalk we were talking about. He's on top of this room's box, and he's just walking over the room. So, this room loading Torvus Temple, the Aether did not exist until the room was fully loaded, which is why he was still on top of the box and didn't fall off.
I was gonna go for it. He's attempting to get the room for the elevator to load around him, and he was going for a strategy where he would jump into the room as it was loading, but it's very hard strategy. So now what he's going to do is going to ether jump up, and he's going to load the room above the room that transitions to the energy controller, and he's going to fall down, because then that unloads the elevator room, and he's going to fall down into the elevator room and let it load around him so he can get to lower Torvus.
So the next secret world coming up is a very different type of secret world. It's called a morph secret world. Basically, it's like item skip, where the map has to be on the wrong room.
But
and it's a very, very precise morph for him to be popped out of bounds.
And it just throws you out of bounds if you morph in a specific spot on when the game's in the wrong room. There's other instances of this that are used. This one, of the ones that I know of the morph secret worlds I know of, this one is by far the most precise. It's not necessarily hard to execute, it's just frustrating because you have to move very, very slightly, and I don't know specifically, but I think it's very specific. It looks like he's needing a set. I don't think I've ever seen a setup. So yeah.
He needs to do the secret world because he needs to bypass a secret door, and he doesn't get seeker missiles, so he needs to get rid of that lock from opening it from behind.
And another thing to mention is some super missile doors. Some of them are locked on both sides, and some of them aren't. And you would think that it's the ones that you can access on both sides that are locked from both sides, but there are a few in Sky Temple grounds, Dark Temple grounds, that have locks on both sides for no reason. I believe there's one that's a seeker missile lock, a seeker lock on one side and a super missile lock on the other, and you're not even supposed to see that. Okay, there you got the secret world. Unless you go out of bounds, you're not even supposed to be able to see that it's different on both sides. So, retro, basically. And so here he's going to let the room load around him, and he's opening the secret door from the other side.
That removed the secret lock, so now he has to go down there to get main power bombs.
Yep.
And the reason why he had to get rid of that lock was because he needs to go through there to get to Sanctuary later.
And now he's going to go fight Powerbomb Guardian without any suits and 99 energy.
This is going to be fun.
It can be it can be annoying if Powerbomb Guardian decides to hit you. It can be very annoying.
He can be nice and open the door for you, though.
That's nice. Yeah.
But this
So what
is
are you doing?
infamously called the Hell Run.
Yep. What he's doing now, actually, let's explain that. He's doing an underwater dash. So if you hold L, and then you click forward, I guess, and you press R and V at the same time, underwater, you'll get, without gravity boost, of course, you'll get kind of a dash-like effect, and he's using that to get to these scan points, and allowing him to skip going all the way around and doing a bunch of lower Torvis puzzles that I don't even think he can do some of them based on his items.
He can do it with Boost Ball.
He has boost ball. I haven't done them in years, so I don't. No, but it's a lot of detours, and it looks very small, but it saves minutes in like a speed run, I guess, because there's a lot of stuff you have to do in Lower Torvis.
It saves quite a bit of time.
And here he's coming down here just so you can use the portal. Because, another thing to mention, ILS, you start with Spider Ball. It doesn't tell you start with Spider Ball, but you do.
It also mentions you start with Grapple Beam and Power Bombs, but you really don't. It does not mention anything about Spider Ball, but you just have it.
Because
Another thing, you start with Super Missiles, but you only have them for one frame and they're gone.
Yeah, and I believe on that frame you don't have Spider Ball. So like the first frame of Control, you have Super Missiles and no Spider Ball. And second frame, you have Spider Ball and no Super Missiles. And don't ask me why. You just do. And here what he's doing is he's doing sticky boosts. So if you're on like the edge of a spider track and you use Boost Ball, you can use it to boost and skip having to use boost in some points. And it's quite a bit faster and allows him to conserve quite a bit of energy and make this quite a bit easier. And then also another thing to mention are drops in this game. They'll usually be very, very helpful and forgiving if you are below 20% energy, I believe.
25%.
25%. You're almost guaranteed to get an Ultra Energy drop. So, I believe with 0 E-Tanks, the magic number you're looking for is when he gets to about 20 energy, which is why sometimes earlier you saw him wait a bit before killing the enemy, so you can get to about 20 energy to be guaranteed a full health refill there. Almost guaranteed. It's not completely.
Sometimes he takes damage on purpose just so he can get that Ultra Energy, but sometimes the game will decide to give you a 10 energy instead, or a missile.
Another thing to note is power bombs. If you have 0, you're most likely going to get a power bomb. And you're most likely the game is going to help you. But the game also checks to see the other drops are in the field. Like if there's a red energy on the field already, and you're at like 20 out of 99 health or whatever, it's going to see that there's already 30 energy on the field, and instead of being at 20, it's going to say, oh, you're at 50. Kind of deal. Which is how it does its drops, which in a room later that can be a bit of an issue. So now here he's just got to shut Powerbomb Guardian.
And this is where the Hell Run starts.
Yes. So
it's not that bad, but it's really easy to mess up.
And one mistake is
Death.
You're done. So, there's an interesting thing to mention. Powerbomb Guardian is one of the bosses. There are a few bosses in this game where if you're in Morph Ball, their drops will just come to you. I believe it's the lower Torvis bosses. I think Quadraxis, maybe? But I know for sure Powerbomb Guardian and Grapple Guardian, if you're in Morph Ball, their drops will just come to you as if you were charging your beam.
Quadraxis you have to charge. And
okay, you do?
His drops are fixed. He doesn't care what item or what you need. He always either drops Ultra Energies, Blue Energies, or Double Missile drops. It's not, like, decided by what you have, it's random. But you don't fight Quadraxis.
So, yeah. So here he's going to refill his ammo and his health for it's really the only little Hell Run section of low percent, surprisingly. You'd think there'd be quite a few, but it's really the only one that's He has to get through this section and lay a power bomb to get. Yes, yeah. Just watch. You don't have much time to waste.
It's called a hell run for a reason. Let's just say that.
I'm behind. Okay, so another thing to mention, he energized safe zone with his light beam, and that kills the enemies that come into it. So he's trying to lure the hunter inside the safe zone so that they're dead, and he doesn't have to deal with them. These hunter can be very annoying and uncooperative, and they can easily kill you. Wait for his health to go back up so that he can get to the top of the room. Zone.
So this hunter is being very uncooperative.
Yeah, he's almost out of light beam ammo. He's just gonna go.
He's being a complete dick.
So this is why you're waiting for some health, and now you see he's below 20. Oh, he's gonna take the save, okay. He could have killed those puffers and was most likely gonna get a full energy refill, but taking the save's probably quite a bit safer considering it's a marathon.
Yes.
That's kind of like the first of the quote-unquote hell run, but that's definitely the worst part of it. Especially
Yeah,
because you get
the other part's
because dying there you have to... Yeah, and then dying there also means you have to redo Powerbomb Guardian, which is also why that's... So, this tunnel right here, caches on the top, kill them, they leave their drops out of bounds. Give you no drop. They leave it out of bounds, which, before we actually knew that would screw a lot of people over, because they'd kill it, and the drop would be out of bounds, they'd think, oh, I don't have a drop. And then they'd wait until they're below 20 energy or so, and then they'd kill another cache, and it'd give them 10 energy. Because there was already like a 50 or a 30 already on the field. And we just thought it was terrible luck, but actually there's a drop out of bounds there. Echoes. Basically, it's trying to screw you over.
Yep, that's the best explanation we can offer for that, Echoes.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why he did that secret world to get rid of that secret lock is coming out very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, oh damn.
Oh.
Oh, at least
at
he
least
took
he
the
saved.
save.
Yeah.
It's a good thing he took the save.
It's a very good thing. So not too much was lost, but that's Echoes really. It's very punishing, and one mistake and you're dead. So. Oh yeah, yeah. What he's doing to get across there is like a scan dash. It's like Metroid Prime 1 if you've seen it, except for it's slightly different. You have to press R instead of releasing L. They tried to fix it in Prime 2, because if you release L, you kind of just like lose all your momentum, and plus there's a sideways speed cap, but if you just hold L, you lock your momentum. So dashes in general are used as a distance technique in Echoes. They can also be used for speed, but it's quite a bit less common to be used as a speed tactic as in Prime 1. It's more so strictly distance.
Yes, dashes and echoes are more only used for skips. Because they aren't really that fast, but sometimes you're like chain bunny hops out of them, which are just like... You keep holding L and R and you press the like frames after you land, and you'll maintain some of the speed. If you press B on this first turn, you'll maintain like almost all of it.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, so now this is where the secret lock that he opened earlier comes into play. So he has to get to, I guess, the main kind of area of Lower Torbis, the main hub for all those puzzles that he ended up skipping with underwater dashes earlier. He ended up skipping them, but he has to come back here anyway because there's a power bomb door behind a statue here that leads to an elevator to Sanctuary. And Sanctuary is where he wants to go next so we can get Screw Attack.
I thought I was going to grab that missile for a second.
I was kind of scared.
When you morph, the game keeps the height of Samus's initial model for a little bit, so...
Okay, so here he's kind of doing a trick. You're supposed to have gravity boost to be able to do this, but he's it's kind of precise. It's a little difficult if you don't know what you're doing, and he's basically getting up here without gravity boost. Before that was known, when he did the secret world, he'd have had to wall crawl and then ceiling warp onto the statue, so that he fell onto the statue from out of bounds, which it's not too bad, but it's slower, and it's also it's harder than just unlocking the door and doing that.
So he's going to Sanctuary now, and this is where the infamous trick comes into play, Grand Abyss. It's required for this low percent run.
And I mean, you kind of.
You have to go through Grand Abyss because you skip grapple beam because low percent.
You don't have to do the specific dash, but the room itself, getting by that room without grapple beam is notoriously hard. Coming up, but you don't need to do the dash.
You really
wall crawl around it.
You really do want to do the dash though. The wall crawl isn't fun.
Wall crawling around it takes forever. Like, wall crawling around it takes so long that that's faster in 8% if you don't do Grand Abyss to get the grapple beam and the wall crawl around it. Like, that's how long this wall crawl takes. Because Sanctuary is really big rooms.
But this is where it starts getting intense after Screw Attack. Because the hardest part is coming up really soon.
Yeah.
So just going through Sanctuary is normal. Kinda.
He already
Except he
Spider-Ball.
has Spider Ball already, so... Just
that helps a little bit.
Through Dark World.
He doesn't have to use Seekers and go through Dark World to get up in this area. Sanctuary, you just can use the Spider Ball track shortcut to get up here, which makes life very easy.
So yeah. You only have one shot to get Grand Abyss, as you probably know. And if you miss it, you either have to A, reset, or do the wall crawl. You really don't want to do the wall crawl.
Here he did another Morph Secret World, and he's doing this so he can skip stopping the gyro in the main gyro chamber. He fell a little far, but this is more of a speed tactic. It's not actually needed. That Morph Secret World is quite a bit less precise than
It's
the one.
very easy.
It's pretty lenient. And now he's just going to let the main gyro chamber load around him, and he's going to activate the boost slot from the untransitioned room, which allows him to skip having to stop the gyro and stuff, and it saves probably 30 seconds if done well, I think.
It's about 20.
20? Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's going to take the safety save.
He looks like he is. So here, he's just taking the save point here.
Taking the save makes it save a lot less time, but it's still worth it. It's probably because he doesn't want to do the wall crawl, which I can understand. So, he's about to do a roll jump in this room. Basically, it's the same thing as the VSJ, as Cordy explained earlier. You have to unmorph within 22 frames. And as soon as you unmorph, you have 3 frames to jump.
Yeah.
For this specific one, you have to hold R the entire time. And then when you unmorph, you have to hit L as soon as you can, along with B.
So the controller grip for it's kind of weird, but it's usually used for pure distance, and that's the first big skip like actually found in Sanctuary. It allows you to get over here, skipping a lot of things. Oh, just missed. Okay, so that's Grand Abyss. That's
Oh, damn.
a very hard dash. So you don't necessarily need floaty. So there's Grand Abyss, and so a property, if you dash within 3 frames of leaving the ground, your dash has some weird properties. The second frame is one wanted. You don't specifically need a floaty dash for it, but if you don't get the wanted frame for floaty dash, you have 3 frame window for the second jump, I believe. And so I believe the first frame gets you quite a bit of speed. Like, it gives you kind of, I believe the first frame is no height and a lot of bend, because he also has to bend this dash. The second frame is a lot of height, and you'll know when he gets it. It's very obvious. He gets a lot of extra height. And I believe the third frame is kind of like a medium bit of height and a medium bit of bend. The second frame is what makes it quite a bit easier, and you only use that robot. It's there like aesthetically, like you're supposed to come in there, realize, oh, I can't cross this room, and then go to the dark world to cross it. So then the robots are there only once. You reload the room, they're still gone. So you have to reload your save before ever being in the room. Otherwise, the robots are gone forever, and you can't do the trick.
It's one shot only.
Which is what makes it very punishing.
I mean, you can practice it and get consistent at it, but it says to one time only. If you fail it, you have to reset. Or
Yep.
It's just, if you fail it, you may as well have gotten grapple. Oh.
So here he's just gonna continue trying Grand Abyss, and it's still honestly worth it at this point, still, because doing the wall crawl again, doing the faster secret world for it, it takes at least 5-6 minutes for the wall crawl. It's annoying.
Yes.
And I don't know if he's going to do the faster secret world, because it's really risky. If you do the slower secret world, the wall crawl can take like 10 minutes, and
You really don't want to do that.
it's really annoying because Watch Station. It's really annoying because Watch Station X is huge, so it's still kind of worth it to do Grand Abyss with how long the wall crawl takes.
The grapple route and the Grand Abyss route, grapple route is approximately 5 minutes slower than just doing Grand Abyss, but it's a lot safer if you're a beginner because you can get runs going. But with Grand Abyss, you'll probably struggle getting runs going.
Yeah, in any percent. It's actually faster to get the grapple beam than it is to fail Grand Abyss and do the wall crawl.
Yes.
Pretty much. And it's quite a bit easier. Like, that's how long that wall crawl takes. And it's estimated about, as DF said, a 5-minute difference. So he keeps dashing behind it, which means that he's not getting enough bend forward, which it's
I wonder how many more tries he's going to give this. He's giving us one more shot.
Mm-hmm. So, Grand Abyss, it's even getting it within. So, if you watched Miles run at, I believe, SGDQ about a year ago, and he got first try Grand Abyss and his run was segment, no one was like actually expecting that. I don't think there was a single person that like knows Echoes that if you'd have asked them that would have told you Miles Run would be single segment. Like that's just the ridiculousness of this trick, and it seems to come in phases too. Like you have some days where you're, 50, 60% at it. Other days where you're like 10% at it. And when doing attempts, it's frustrating to just, the first 15 minutes of the game in any percent, which is hard in itself, and then get to...
Ready?
It's... Yeah?
You cut out for a second.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh. Okay, he's down the wall crawl now, so...
He is okay.
This is a very painful wall crawl just due to the nature of Sanctuary Fortress being really a huge pain to wall crawl because of the huge boxes.
With the res bits is, as you can see, it's already a very large room, and there's terminal fall in the room, which means the bottom of the box is enormous, and it also extends very far.
You also want to be very careful when you're wall crawling, because if you fall down, you will activate the terminal fall and you'll spawn back in the room.
Inbounds, yep, and then you have to do the secret world all over again. The secret world it looks really hard. I've never actually done it. I've always just done the slower one, but basically there's a hole in the ceiling, and he's gonna leave through the hole in the ceiling.
Via quad head.
Mm.
That's risky because he is shooting at you when you're floating upwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate he did not get the dash though, but things happen. It's a marathon.
Yeah.
You'll
And now you can
sometimes
see-
see him shoot in the rooms too, just to see if the room's loaded.
Mm. And now you guys can see what some of these rooms look like from out of bounds. So we transitioned to watch station access. And you see how big the room is? He has to come all the way back across this room just to get into the ether.
Yeah, this
He has
room is really big.
This room is really big, and that's why the wall crawl is so slow. Grand Abyss is really big. And that's the riskier, faster secret world. There's the other secret world you could have done is back when we did gyro skip back there. You can do that secret world in wall crawl to screw attack, which takes forever, but it's quite a bit easier, I'd say, than that secret world. It's safer for sure, because that secret world there's a very high chance of you dying, especially on hard mode. But now you see he's on the skywalk, and he's really high up, so.
Yeah, so basically, Sanctuary Fortress has big rooms for no reason.
I mean, this one, the box is big for a reason, but it's annoying still.
But it's kind of similar to Fendrana and Prime 1. Fendrana has really big, really small rooms, but the boxes through them are so huge, and it's just so annoying to wall crawl.
So the transition to Grand Abyss is really annoying, because there's a ceiling, like an invisible ceiling right there. So he has to jump under that invisible ceiling, and then jump around it, which is actually really tricky. And Grand Abyss is a very large room, so he has to do these bomb jumps because getting to the ether in Grand Abyss, just because of how big it is, from that door, it's really, I don't think it's possible without hitting the terminal fall. So he has to kind of bomb jump over it, which is another reason why this wall is very slow, because very big rooms to the point where you have to just bomb jump over them because you can't really do anything else.
Cordy probably mentioned this earlier, but when you're in Morph Ball, the game completely ignores the fact that you're in Aether.
Mm-hmm. And you just fall until you unmorph.
Or get stuck in Collision.
In Collision, yeah. The tops of rooms, they're sticky, so like, there are some standable like you see, he just kind of rolled expandable spots like littered throughout the ceilings and the geometry of the rooms, and they're quite a bit more common in Echoes than Prime 1 for whatever reason. But in general, walls and ceilings, they're sticky. It's like you can't, moving in them is hard. You can't just like walk, and you can't really get jumps that often until you find a stand-up spot, because the game doesn't think he's on the ground. So basically, trying to get to Ether is your best bet when wall crawling.
So as you can see, this game is really broken.
Yeah.
For reference, there's about 150 out-of-bounds entrances in this game, and Prime 1 only has about 50.
Only about 50, which it's only because of how many there are in this game. So here's Vault Dash. The skip. You need to use dash if you're skipping grapple beam.
It's very easy to dash.
Yeah. Vault Dash, it skips having to go to the Dark World and use grapple beam to cross to that portal. And you can do a roll jump method, but
it's hard.
That requires you to hit terminal fall. Doesn't necessarily require it. And here, going to the Dark World. There's a safe zone there, so he's re-healing health basically, because 29 health in Vault is the residents can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, you don't want to be in this room when the residents are awake. They will punish you. Really hard.
Especially if they're shooting at you instead of just laser, because their laser attack is easy to dodge. It doesn't do much damage, but if they're shooting at you, dodging it's fun and it does a lot of damage.
So when you get screw attacked, the run is going to get a hell of a lot more harder. But we'll explain that later.
A lot more harder.
Because this is where it gets really, really hard.
So, the dash is so they can hit the terminal fall at a spot that will spawn him near the morph ball slot, and his instant morphs into the slot. Yeah, just speed. And then the pause before picking up screw attack is to make sure your shots hit the door there, because you morph into screw attack, so he's already morphed through the door. He doesn't have to get up and shoot it again. It's a little thing, but it saves quite a bit of time. He's doing 6%. As opposed to hard mode, really the main difference between in 6% in itself, like the general hard mode stuff, things do more damage. You do half damage essentially, but really in general, the only difference in 6% hard and normal is the final bosses. So
he's going to get out of bounds again in main gyro chamber, because he's going to wall crawl to a room with a cannon in it. This is very important because he's going to get a trick called MVI, which stands for Morphal Invulnerability. Basically, in this state, you're invincible to everything in Morphal permanently until you reload from a save or use another cannon.
And okay, let's let me show you the out of bounds. This is the out of bounds is going to show you the wonders of screw attack. You're stuck in a room with a Morphal tunnel. You can probably get out.
And this is why screw attack is the most important item in this game.
Not only that, is it's actually needed in Sky Temple. Like,
yes,
it's the only I think and screw attack are the only items that you actually at least need. Like, you can skip light beam, but you have to get a bunch of other items to actually skip light beam. So you obviously don't do that in low percent. It saves items to get life beam. But I believe, and main power bonds, I guess. So yeah, but screw attack is an item that you definitely need, and it skips so many items that even if you could get through Sky Temple without it, you'd still get it because it skips so many other items.
So how this works is he's going to transition to the room with the cannon and scan it so it activates. And he's going to go back and transition back to this room, Sanctuary Temple. Because how MBI works, you want to use the cannon when the map is on the wrong room. Otherwise, it will not work. So
Okay.
you'll see it in action as soon as he uses the cannon.
Basically, MBI, or as I believe Miles calls it, Cannonball, because that's quite a bit more accurate. The game still thinks you're in the Kinetic Orb Cannon, and when you're in the Kinetic Orb Cannon, you're basically invincible. And the main thing is this method of Morph Ball Invulnerability only specifically works in this room, because if you transition the room, you hit a load trigger for a different room, which unloads the room, which makes the game still think you're in the cannon while you were in flight, which doesn't work anywhere else. And one thing to note, that's a newer method of Morph Ball Invulnerability that was found about a month or two ago. Method involved having to go back to Temple Grounds, get infinite speed, as he showed at the beginning for item loss skip, and from infinite speed you had to boost, so the game put you in the Kinetic Orb Cannon, infinite speed, but you're in the unloaded room. But if you unmorph in infinite speed, there's this thing called Light Show, and basically you can't see anything, and there's a bunch of lights in the screen. You have to cancel this, so you can't see anything, but the room you're in is untransitioned, and it has terminal fall. So if you fall down, you don't activate the terminal fall, you just fall, and you can't get back up. But you can't see where you're going. And you have to get the game to kind of remove Light Show. So not only is it annoying, is you had to go back to Temple Grounds to do it. So after Screw Attack, you'd have to go through Torvis to Temple Grounds to get to save in Temple Grounds, because you can't save after MBI, and if you reload, you lose it. So you can save in Temple Grounds, get MBI in Temple Grounds, go to Aegon from Temple Grounds using a wall crawl. From Aegon, you have to go from Aegon you can then go to Sanctuary. So you have to go through 4 different areas just to get. You used to have to go to 4 different areas just to get MBI. So this not only makes it quite a bit safer, it also makes the run quite a bit easier. Because Morph Ball Invulnerability is easier and quite a bit less of a hassle to obtain, because you don't have to deal with the shenanigans of Light Show, which are a pain.
So he's going to be doing the hardest part really shortly, so we're going to give him some serious time for this.
Yeah, so he's going to be getting the Sanctuary energy without being Quadraxis, which the game only checks for the Sanctuary energy to get Light Suit, and so you can get the Sanctuary energy without being Quadraxis, which thus skips Annihilator Beam. The issue with this is so you take 6 damage per second, and you only have 99 heavy, which is why you need Morph Ball Invulnerability. So we're gonna give him, this is pretty intense, we're gonna give him some quiet, serious time.
Okay. So,
that was nice.
good job, M177. So, he had to do that entire thing in Morph Ball because he needed Morph Ball and Vulnerability to get it.
Yeah, okay, so the gates room there, when you went on the skywalks, so before, about a year ago, didn't know you could make it to the skywalk because I guess no one tried. So we had to bomb jump around those gates, which DF's never done. But bomb jumping around those gates is really hard because you can get stuck between them, and basically whether you get unstuck between them is really not up to you. It's the game wanting to let you get out, and bomb jumping around those gates is really hard. And even before then, a timeline for this trick. So when I first did low percent, the method for MBI was in Temple Grounds with light show cancel. It took forever. So I had to go from Temple Grounds, Quadraxis. So I had to go from Temple Grounds to Aegon to Sanctuary, just to be able to do this trick after doing another trick to get more fallen vulnerability. So then from there you skip Quadraxis, under, which is a lot less safer, or you can go over. Metroid 177 had the strat to go over, and then you'd have to bomb jump around those gates, which I believe the first time I did I was shaking, like literally shaking, trying to bomb jump around. Oh wait, no, before you do it in 2 trips, you'd lower the gates, because those gates lower, and then you would get the energy after lowering the gates, because if you lower the gates you can just do a 3VJ over them. But, and then fast forward a bit, you have the Skywalk strat. That's the new MVI, and if you fail it, it's just 20 minutes lost instead of 40. Because I believe like the entire quad skip segment used to take about 40 minutes from save to save, and now it takes about 20. So like the new MVI method is quite a bit safer and quite a bit easier.
You saw him pull out the map a couple times during the wall crawl too, but it was to ensure his position was correct and see if he was going to fall off or not. He could have done really risky strats and waited in the safe zones a lot less, but you really don't want to do that. You don't want to.
No. Also, I mentioned in chat, if you saw it, I think, I'm not sure, I didn't catch it too well, I think he bounced. So, when you do those death drops, I guess, those drops in Morph Ball, there are some spots on the geometry, you'll bounce. And usually it's because there's a standable spot there or something. Now the issue is, if you bounce, the direction you're going is really out of your control, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to bounce and fall, and you're dead.
I have had a lot of experience with door bounce.
The door bounce on the way to the energy controller, bouncing is not fun, and I think he bounced and he noticed it, so he unmorphed and morphed again. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, bounces are bad, and they can just happen. And like, since your height's variable, because your bomb jumps from when you unmorph, you can't really get it consistently exactly the same. So like, a setup to get a quick morph to make sure you don't bounce every time is, you can get it pretty consistent, but you can't get it 100%. So bounces can happen, and they're scary, and then those skywalk strats, they'll make the last room so much easier, because as I said, those jumps around the gates are ridiculous. They're so hard.
I think Corey actually found the strat for the skywalk. But I'm not too sure. But yeah,
So
that's the
now-
hardest part.
Yeah, that's the hardest part of the run. It's forever, and essentially, like, one mistake and you're pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Also to note, the spider track, that one doesn't work, even though it involves jump into a screw attack.
Yeah. Some of the spider tracks in Sanctuary do not work unless you actually pick up the spider ball upgrade. It's very strange.
Yeah, but like, it doesn't matter if you have spider ball or not. You just gotta beat Spider Guardian, and then they'll work for whatever reason goes retro.
You actually have
excuse
to
me?
pick up the item. Not
Oh,
just
you do?
Speed
You have to pick up the
Spider
item? Oh.
Guardian. Yeah.
That's even stupid.
I don't know.
Yeah, sure. So, now, he has to get back to Temple Grounds. And like before with old MBI, which you have to go back to Temple Grounds, so you'd have already had to do this. So, he has to go... You can go Lower Torvis, but escaping Lower Torvis without gravity boost is... It's not fun. It's not too difficult, but it's not fun. So he's going to Aegon, so he can wall crawl the Torvis and get to Upper Torvis without having to go through Lower Torvis without many items.
Fortunately, he doesn't have to deal with the Sandigger again because he has Screw Attack.
Exactly. And then, so he never got Violet Translator. And so he can't leave Aegon to get to Temple Grounds because there's no secret world there. So he has to go to Torvis to get to Temple Grounds. But there's also another there are another few translator doors there, so he has to do some other things to skip translator doors. So getting back to Temple Grounds in 6% is a hassle because it usually involves you having to go to Aegon and then to Torvis so you can get back to Temple Grounds. MBI saves so much time because you don't have to. It cuts out having to go back to Temple Grounds a whole time. So now he's going to. You can see other uses of Screw Attack and how broken really Screw Attack is.
Yes.
Because when you're in Screw Attack, your size is the size of a Morphle, and it forces you to stand.
Yep.
So,
Another thing to mention about percentage, the translators actually do count for percent. But the energy transfer module does not count for percent, and it does not even do anything.
that doesn't
And
appears in your inventory until you get Violet Translator.
Yeah.
Even, you think like it's even. I don't even think it's even in your until you get Violet. So,
yeah, it's
like,
not
that's how
in your
useless that item
inventory.
is.
It's not in your inventory until you get Violet. It's very strange.
Like it's useless. It's like literally useless.
It's just there for story.
So skipping translators is an issue, as well.
Mostly Violet.
Violet,
And Amber.
Violet's not hard to skip. It's just
Well,
a
it's
hassle.
Amber. You'll see why Amber is a pain to skip in a little bit.
The infamous. So he's just doing what he did before to wall crawl to Torvis. Thing to mention, like the hardest part's over, so rest a little bit easier. It still echoes, so anything can happen, but you can rest easy. The quadraxa skip is done, so
Yeah, it's a lot safer from here. There's still some annoying stuff left, but that was by far the most annoying part.
great. Just because the sheer length of it is what makes it hard. Like
Yes.
especially before new MBI, like knowing in the back of your head that you have to go all the way back to Temple Grounds and do 2 more wall crawls after doing a stupid trick to get MBI crawls just to get to a temple. Like knowing that in the back of your mind it's very nerve-wracking with the trick itself. So like not only is like the trick hard to execute, like there's a whole human component to it of like nerves that makes it on it. I was actually like I've actually been like shaking in the gates room before, like I literally like couldn't control it, like just from nerves. It's pretty intense. Like it's doing it in a marathon. I could never. I'm very impressed.
It's very impressive to see somebody quad skip first try. He's put so much practice into 6%.
Yes, it's not an easy trick at all.
It's the hardest part of 6%. One of my friends, Tom Lube, he was commentating 22%. He actually made a graph showing the 6% difficulty, and I'd say it's very accurate.
It literally just like stagnates, spikes quad skip, and then stagnates. That's
Yep.
that's pretty accurate.
So, he's going to be doing a trick called Hive Dash. It's pretty infamous for being very difficult. And
Miles. blows out of proportion.
Yes.
It says it's really hard, but it's not too bad if you know what you're doing. But, so, dashes in this game, there's kind of a weird dash. You want to dash directly backward. Know how to do that? The dash, because, so, the ether in this room, in the room still, with the war wasps, but the terminal fall trigger is very high. Like, you can jump to the ether with just a regular jump, but you don't get enough distance to where you're at enough height within the ether to not hit the terminal fall trigger. So what he has to do is he has to dash backwards off of these war wasps. The issue is the war wasps there are certain parts of the room they can travel to, based on your camera, I believe it is. There's certain parts of the room where they can travel to where they're just kind of stuck. So, like, you have to, like, reload the room and stuff to get them back, and if you mess it up a few times, it's a hassle. So, like, what he has to do is try to dash around the wall and then dash straight back.
I actually got this first try one time, and I was so happy, and then I activated Terminal Fall because I couldn't ether jump, and I was so mad.
I thought you go far enough back, like outside the trigger.
And then I got it, it's like third try, and I was happy.
Yes, Skull, he saved after quad skip. Do you really think that you do a high dash after quad skip without saving? Come on.
Okay.
I definitely save right away.
So this trick is kind of annoying. As you can see, it's kind of a precise dash.
Yeah, and dashing backwards is kind of weird. Like, you have to, like, so you dash right. I mean, like, there are other ways to do it. Some people claim to have done it without ever pressing the R button, which I don't know how, honestly. But, like, there are multiple, like, kind of strategies, I guess, for it. But, like, it's weird. You have to make sure you're around the wall. Like, you dash, regular dash, make sure you're on the wall. You release R, and you, like, jump backwards and press R again to lock your momentum. And it's, like, kind of weird, because you have to get a really good dash. You get around the wall as quick as possible with as much height as possible. And you have to make sure you dash back as soon as you're past that wall.
I found it easier to be not directly against the wall behind you, just be a little bit in front of it.
That's how I did it. But anyway, this trick is needed because on the other side of that door over there, there's Amber. I always forget the name. There's an Amber translator. Well, you can't really do anything. You have to
You
get around
can scan it, but also you need to update your translator files, so this is your only way around it unless you want to walk Rose Sanctuary again, which you probably don't want to do.
Yeah, you can walk around to the front of Sanctuary, but that's just annoying. More annoying than this, honestly. It's just annoying, and it takes longer. And warwasps are not fun to dash off of either, because they don't cooperate that often.
Yeah, this is not a fun trick to do.
Oh, okay, let's see. So,
there's a couple ones in, couple translator doors that look like a certain color, but they're actually not.
Yeah,
For
there are some of
example,
them.
it's not this one. This one's actually an amber translator door, but the one before the elevator to get the Great Temple, it looks like an amber translator door, but it's actually a violet translator door.
Yes, and then in GMFC compound, there's an emerald one to get to Sanctuary, but that's actually also violet. The thing is they don't expect you to be able to get there before you get power bombs, because there's a gate you need power bombs to break, and you're not supposed to get power bombs before Emerald Translator, so they just made it violet, I guess.
Yeah, they were lazy.
So it looks like Emerald, and it's actually violet. And the violet one to the elevator here in Temple Grounds actually is an issue in any percent, because in any percent at this time you have amber, but you don't have violet. And it's an amber translator gate. It's actually violet, so you have to wall crawl around it. It's just things. It's like things like that. When we mean echoes, just like echoes. That's all you can really explain.
So he reloaded the room so he can get health back.
Health back, and then more Laurel Wasps in order to dash. Because only 3 of them come out. High dash though, it's annoying. It's like, I know some people have spent a few hours on it before. I know Masked Kirby, he's done like everything in this game except for 6%. He's done like 7%, like reverse boss challenges or whatever. He's done a lot of things. I remember he had a 6% file that he just couldn't do high dash for a long time. Like it's not an easy trick at all. It's really annoying.
He's failing it not because he's bad, he's failing it because it's hard. He's very good at this category.
And that being said, once he gets it, he has to do a wall crawl still, which is not hard, it's just annoying to do fast. And you see, on one of the attempts, streamed a little, but on one of the attempts he like made it around the wall, but he didn't make it around enough, so that when he dashed directly back, he was kind of up against the wall still, which kind of killed a lot of his momentum. It's just things like that which make this trick precise and stupid, especially because getting a consistent spot off the War Wasps to dash is difficult, or almost constantly moving. It's like you can get like a similar starting spot, but while you're dashing, so it kind of screws it up. So
as I said, quad skip was the hardest part of 6%, but there's still annoying things like this.
yeah, it's like this trick. It's hard, but it's also like annoying, and it's nowhere near like quad skip level, honestly. But a lot of 6%, like the hard stuff, is like hard in like execution sense and like human sense. Like nerves and quad skip it definitely makes it harder. There's no doubt in my mind that the fact that nerves play a huge part in that trick, especially if you've never done it before, make it quite a bit more challenging to do. But a lot of the other stuff in 6% to skip items is it's fun, but it's also just like annoying. It's annoying, kind of hard. So he's at 4%. He needs to get light suit
And dark visor.
and dark visor, yep. And then that's every item he's gonna get. And he has to get the sky temple, and he can go beat the game. If you remember,
The sky temple keys
the
are
sky temple keys.
They are absolutely required to beat the game. There is no way to get the sky temple without them unless you can find a wrong warp.
Yep, and unlike Prime 1, the Sky Temple keys and Echoes do not count towards your percent. If they did, I believe it'd be 15% because there are 9 of them.
Yes, and the Dark Tortoise keys would count too, so it would be 18%.
Yeah. If the keys counted, but they don't.
Yeah. In Prime 1, the 12 artifacts do count, so it's 21%. Alright, he got it, nice. So now he just has to wall crawl around, because there's a super missile door blocking the next room as well, so he needs to get by that as well.
And the next room is actually low. And there's a hole in the ceiling in the next room. So I've fallen into the next room beside the translator gate, but the issue is, you're on the other side of the translator gate, you can't transition the door back. So, like, you can fall into the second room with the translator gate still. Really risky. And now it's just basic wall crawling.
Yeah, just average out of bounds navigation.
Oh, one thing to mention, I guess,
And he's
as opposed to Prime 1 and Prime 2 wall crawling. Because if you haven't noticed, Prime 2 has quite a bit more wall crawling than Prime 1. Not only because there's more secret worlds, wall crawling in Prime 2 is quite a bit easier, I'd say, and less annoying, specifically because...
Aether jumping.
Yeah, ether jumping. In Prime 1, if you fall, ether jump, you fall, you lose all control of the Samus. You just completely fall.
So
you
that...
can... Okay, you go.
So that gate he just skipped over, that's actually a violet translator door. It looks amber, but it's actually violet, and he had to touch it to load this room so he could screw attack into it, because otherwise he would just fall infinitely out of bounds, because screw attack acts as a morph ball when you're out of bounds.
Yep. And here's a morph secret world coming up, and he has to transition this room, and transitioning this room is really annoying, because you can't get on the top of the door in this room. I'm like almost positive you can't. So you have to transition it in a different way.
Yeah,
And
there's...
they're used to not... He's doing a setup that's like that annoying. There used to not be a setup, and like, people would lose runs to it all the time, because it's a stupid, precise transition. You just... Like, I don't even know why it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't if you don't do the setup.
So now he has to skip Violet Translator by jumping over the trigger.
Yes.
It's fairly simple.
The trigger for Violet...
But you can jump over and then screw attack over it. So hopefully he gets it.
And the Violet trigger just happens to be in front of the light suit trigger, so he has to jump over it, and you can screw attack over it.
If you see the cutscene where Samus is walking, you failed it, but if you see the cutscene with the energy controller at the top, you got it.
I'm way behind. Shoot. Okay, we're good.
So he got it.
Yeah, I'm behind.
So now he's going back to Torvis to defeat Chica, because he needs a Dark Visor.
Yep. And with... The thing is he was able to skip Quadraxis without getting the Temple Keys, Ing-Hive Temple Keys. And you could actually fight Quadraxis without the Ing-Hive Temple Keys, but Chica and Amorbis, you actually cannot fight them without retrieving and returning the Dark Temple Keys. So now, he already got the one in Lower Torvis, so now he has to get the other two in order to even get to Chica.
Ing Hive keys are completely useless. You don't even have to go out of bounds to skip them.
Yep. You can just screw attack over the gate with a BSJ.
For Torvis, though, the fight trigger is returning the keys.
Yep, the fight, like, he isn't even there. He was, like, well prone to it. I don't even think the fight's, like, there.
I think it's the same for Morbus. I'm not too sure, though.
Yeah, I've never tried. I just know it's not possible. I guess it's an aside you can mention since time, but, so, in Torvis, he doesn't have the grapple good. In Torvis, there are some rooms, one room, I forget which one, has like a 70% chance, but every other room is like 50%. There's pirates that we call grapple pirates. If you have grapple beam, there's about a 50% chance that pirates will spawn in some of these rooms. Now, since he doesn't have grapple beam, he doesn't have to worry about that. But in, let's say, any percent where you have grapple beam, it's luck, and you can lose a lot of time.
It's very good to not have grapple beam, because you don't even have to worry about, oh, I have to charge my dark beam, because they're probably going to show up.
So, skipping grapple is hard, but there's also payout for it as well in the end.
Yes, you save 5 minutes, and you don't have to worry about
Deal with
grapple
grapple
pirates.
Because they're really annoying, especially when you don't have Dark Visor. Because I never really bothered to learn when they appear.
Yeah, the one specifically in Dark Forgotten Bridge, where he came out of the portal, one of the grapple pirates you can kill instantly by just shooting the safe zone with light beam, and he just dies. But the other one, he can spawn, well, he can move in 2 different places. One is, like, to the right of the door if you're facing away from it on the ground, and you can shoot there if you see, like, the particle effects, and you'll get him. And he can either... words. He can also spawn on the left side, too, so... It's better to aim on the right side, because you can see him.
So now he's got 2 Dark Tortoise keys, Chica keys, and he's got the third one. Luckily, the third one is just a small few rooms away, and it's right next to the boss. So
yes, he has to go this way.
Getting the keys really doesn't even take all that long if you've already been to Lower Torbis, because that one's the one that's most out of the way.
He has to take this route though, because he doesn't have super missiles. So he has to go the long way around. But
yep,
it's better than wall crawling.
Yeah.
So Chica is just a normal fight. It's very ammo intensive.
Yeah.
And it's a huge
Since you have
low percent.
light suit though, like your chances
it's really
of dying,
hard to die.
It's I mean, with 99 energy, it's a little bit of a different story. Like, you can die on hard mode, I'd believe it.
You have
but,
to
like,
try
if you're
to
doing,
die.
like, any percent with 3, 4 E-tanks and light suit, you have to pretty much try to die.
But in low percent standards, you only have 5 missiles to work with, so the
Yeah.
fight is completely different.
So, he's scanning Chico larva here, so you can basically target the weak spot, which allows him to do quite a bit more damage. Obviously, as it's a weak spot, as opposed to any percent where you have seekers and super missiles and stuff. He doesn't have any of that, so the fight takes quite a bit longer. You can't use super missiles to do a ton of damage. You can't use seekers on the wings of Chico Adult either, so it takes forever. And it's just like standard stuff. He's hitting him with light beam because charged light beam is your strongest base weapon.
And he's a mix of... Chica is a very strange boss. He's a mix of dark and light natures. Dark beam and light beam are equally as effective, but dark beam is just better. And he's on the ground.
Speaking of beams, I guess it's worth mentioning that the dark beam and light beam, there's beam ammo for a reason, because they're really strong. So on enemies weak to dark beam, which is like half the enemies in the game, one uncharged dark shot does as much as a missile.
And a charged dark shot is...
Uncharged dark shot is enemies weak to dark beam, which is like half of them in the game, does as much as a missile. Like, the beams are very strong, so like the beam ammo is... There's a good reason for it to be there. If you're one of those that complains about it, it's there for a reason. Like, pirates are weak to dark beam. Like, most pirates, they go down in 3 uncharged dark beam shots.
Yeah, and a charged dark beam shot does the same amount of strength as a super missile if it's a light world creature. And similar for light beam, but light beam is stronger overall. It's the strongest beam in terms of base power. But Annihilator beam is the most damage per second.
Yeah, because it's rapid fire rate, and charged Annihilator is really not too useful. You'd rather just shoot uncharged shots because they home and they have a higher damage per second.
Yeah, with Annihilator beam, it's just mash A. You destroy with it. There's a reason why it's called Annihilator beam. he skipped Annihilator Beam, so
Mhm.
I could see it in action. But it wouldn't
So
be
close.
too useful anyway, because he only has 50 ammo to work with.
Also, this is the best music for Chica. Chica adult music's not good. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, how did he kill Chico so fast?
So, something worth mentioning. Morph Bomb Vulnerability does damage.
It does
So-
50,000 damage per frame.
500,000 actually. Morph
Yeah, 500.
Boost Ball in Prime 1 was overpowered, does 50,000 damage a frame. Morph Ball Vulnerability does 500,000 damage per frame.
They really wanted to make sure the wasps around the cannon died, so they made it 500,000 damage.
And I think, for some reason, does 4 times damage to Resbits, so those Resbits you kill back there did 2 million damage. I don't, the reason that works though is so, Chica Adult, is the energy bar you see on Chica Adult, it's a second separate energy bar that you're not supposed to be able to damage. The amount of energy in it, I believe, is 100, 300 something, I think. It's some low number. Like, you do way more damage than to Chica Adult than that's in that energy bar, but it goes down by, like, set bar that goes down by set amounts based on what you do. However, it's weak to MBI, and it's also weak to Screw Attack, but the thing is, it doesn't complete unless you empty it. It doesn't deplete unless you empty it completely. So, like, Screw Attack damages it, but since it doesn't do enough damage per frame, because you have to deplete it in one frame, since it doesn't do enough damage per frame, it doesn't kill. But since MBI does 500,000 damage in frame, it goes from that second energy source that you're not supposed to be able to hit, and Chica Adult is just dead.
So he's going to be going out of bounds again. Big surprise, but he needs to get at the Sky Temple key from Lower Torvis, but he can't go there without getting super missiles, and it's just faster to wall crawl from the Dark World.
This is a really
interestingly,
cool one.
I will just let you see it.
Yeah, it's a
I'll
really
explain
cool
it
one.
after.
Yeah, if you've never seen it before, it's definitely a really cool one. Oh yeah, isn't like Death Ball in multiplayer mode? The chat brings up an interesting point. Isn't Death Ball in like multiplayer modes? Like, what if they just give you like MBI effect, and that's why it does so much because multiplayer? That makes sense.
That does make sense, actually.
That'd be funny if that's why.
So, they left this door down here.
Yeah,
Because it was actually intended for you to be able to get down here at some point from the Dark World, but they scrapped that, but they left the transition here. So you can transition to Dark Lower Torvis from Dark Torvis, which you're not supposed to be able to do.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It's just an empty door in the middle of nowhere, and you just fall, and you can transition. It's a really cool little wall crawl. It saves having to enter Torvis, and then go to Lower Torvis, and then take a portal to Dark Torvis. So it saves 2 portal transitions and a bunch of time, and it looks cool, so why not do it?
Also, we call Grapple Guardian the MG2.
Yeah, the MG2. By MG.
He looked at MG, which is good.
So now it's just kind of Sky Temple keys. The ones in Torvis are pretty straightforward in general. The ones in Aegon are pretty straightforward. Sanctuary, there's a trick for one of them, but then so they're mostly in general pretty straightforward until you get to Temple Grounds. So.
Yeah. It's just very simple. Just get the
Like just in
keys.
general, this is just movement. In like an 80%, this is like almost pure movement. The
Rip MG.
Rip MG. So, if you've watched any percent, you'll notice 6% does a slightly different Sky Temple key route, and that's mostly because of the
Translator issue.
challenge it takes to get between the two places. It's just faster to go. Since you don't have Seekers, it's faster just to go to Sanctuary from Lower Torvus instead of going to Aegon and then to Sanctuary.
Yeah. So he's going back to Sanctuary to get the Sky Temple keys, and then he's going to go to Aegon to get the Sky Temple keys, and then he's going to go to Temple Grounds to get them. So it's pretty self-explanatory until he has to go back to Temple Grounds.
Yeah, that's. I think probably some people's like main gripes with Echoes, but like in a speedrun, I actually rather enjoy the key collection, especially with like the Grand Abyss route.
I used to hate it, but it's fun because it's pure movement optimization.
Yeah, and it's also like, especially if you do the Grand Abyss route, it's like it's a huge sigh of relief and a huge break. And it's nice if you don't get lost. But anyway. Oh, that's another mention. So I just noticed that I completely forgot. So some doors, like if there's a blast shield on it, missile, power bomb, super missile, seeker, whatever. If there's a blast shield on it, if you break the shield, the damage. I forget exactly how Miles worded it, but basically the door is then set to be opened by anything. This includes MBI. So that's why you see how he just runs into some doors and they open, and that's because there were blast shields on them before. But then they're set to like 0, I guess, or whatever, after the blast shield's destroyed, which means MBI can open them. It's a cool little thing. It saves makes your life easier and it just looks kind of cool.
You don't have to press the A button.
Exactly. And you can see MBI it makes life really easy to have MBI at the end game. Like you don't have to worry about those turrets because those turrets can do a lot of damage, and just in general, it's nice to have.
As Cordy explained before, the old method of MBI, which is the light show cancel, in single segment attempts, that used to be done at the very start of the run, so you had it the entire time in the Hell Run and Lower Torvus when you get main power bombs wasn't a thing.
It was
like a
nice,
joke.
but light show cancel's so annoying that even though it was nice,
It's either you do Hell Run or you do Light Show Cancel, and Light Show Cancel's by far the most annoying.
Yeah, because doing it at the beginning of the game requires you to do like 2 extra wall crawls because you don't have power bombs at the time, and it's a big hassle. It's like the new method of MBI just makes it so much easier and so much safer. Because like with Light Show Cancel, like you can just get like screwed over because you can't see where you're going and fall.
So he's doing Spider Skip right now. It's another screw attack secret world where you just screw attack into the hole and you're out of bounds. It's not very surprising because you can do it in almost every Marble hole in this game.
Yeah,
So he needs to go out of bounds.
He was too far back, so he didn't get the room to completely load around him, so he has to do his ceiling work. It's not too big of a mistake. It's annoying nonetheless. Because that room is, for some reason, that room likes to throw you out of bounds even if you think you're inside it. It's really annoying.
So yeah, that's the first part. Spider Skip. He has to do another thing when he gets the key. I will explain that soon.
I guess it's also, you could say, MBI has actually now gotten an any percent because it makes Chica adult so fast. It saves like a minute.
So
No, shout out to that.
he needs to reload this room because he wants the terminal fall spawn point to be the default spawn point, which is on the other side of the room. So he needs to reload the room in order to do that. So he's going to leave and re-enter the portal.
Yep. Because through the morph ball hole, there's a spot that sets the terminal fall trigger, the side of the room that he's on. But by resetting that to the default, the other side of the room, he can then do this, he can screw attack in the morph ball, surprise, and get out of bounds and hit the terminal fall trigger without hitting the trigger that changed terminal fall and get to the other side of the room, which allows him to skip having to fight Spider Guardian and get Spider Ball, etc. So, here we go.
So now he has to go get the key in front sanctuary. Nothing really too special about it.
Mm-hmm. The front sanctuary key's just a long trek to the front of sanctuary.
Yeah. This is by far the longest key to get. Excluding the Temple Grounds keys,
And,
obviously.
I guess you could say some keys you don't need light suit for. I think there are. You don't technically need light suit for the 3 Temple Grounds keys. I don't think. I'm trying to think what ones they are. I don't think you technically need light suit for any of the Temple Grounds keys, but like there are no like safe zones in Sky Temple Grounds, so like doing it is just annoying and a waste of time. And there's, I think, 2 other keys you can get.
You can't get the ones in the water, obviously.
Or this one.
You can get this one, but it requires a wall crawl.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I guess you could. Yeah.
Because
why would you wall crawl? I just get light suit at that point, honestly.
Yeah. But
I've seen Prax trying to do it in randomizer with dark suit, and it looked ridiculous because the people look so stupid. But yeah, usually if you have a problem in echoes, the solution is go out of bounds.
I'm soft locked. I need help. Have you tried screw attacking in this morph ball hole?
Yeah, like I did Hive Dash once, fell into the unloaded room. So like, the room was untransitioned. I couldn't see anything, and there's a morph ball. And there's a morph ball tunnel in that room, except for the room was invisible. And I was soft locked, unless I screw attacked into that morph ball tunnel that was invisible. So, you know, like, just, you know, it's echoes. And, worlds are not, limited to morph ball tunnels, just anything that's small, you can fit in with morph ball, but you can't fit in as, like, the Samus, because, again, while screw attacking, Samus is the size of a morph, and when you, screw attack is finished, it forces you to stand. So then that usually can pop you out of bounds.
Yeah, so he has all 6 items, as you can tell, so... So now he's gonna go to Aegon, get those 2 keys, and then it's time for the Temple Grounds keys.
And I guess the reason that he got main power bombs as opposed to like a power bomb upgrade, I guess, because I think you need there's probably something you need power bombs for, even if you don't need to beat power bomb
It's still
guardian.
required either way, but
Yeah.
I mentioned this earlier, but if you get a normal power bomb expansion, there's 1 key in Dark Aegon. The room's name is Dark Oasis. That Sky Temple key / Incash does not exist until you collect main power bomb upgrade. It just is not there until
Because
you
of
collect it.
room layers, because like you're not supposed to have power bombs before main power bombs, and I guess in order to like save space, because there are ink swarms, I think they're called, in that room, but those ink swarms aren't there until you get the main power bomb either. So I think like to save separate here, I guess, so that you know it doesn't take as long to load or whatever.
So he could have fought Dark Samus earlier, but
It's
you don't
faster
wanna
to use
do
power
that.
bomb now.
Yeah. And he needs to reload the room because similar to Sanctuary Fortress, these spider tracks do not work, but they work once you reload the room, so he's gonna do that real quick and then use them.
Well, no, he's
Well,
coming
not
sanctuary.
yet, but
He's coming from sanctuary, so he's gonna
he's
take
gonna
on
be
anyway.
using
So
them.
he's reloading the room.
Yeah, he's gonna be
Typically,
using
those
them
spider
later.
tracks don't work until you defeat Dark Samus and reload the room, because it changes the layering again.
He's not going to use them now, but he's going to use them later.
Yeah. And that's like a big thing with a lot of things in like Echoes and other Prime games is room layers. Sometimes layers can get screwed up. You can have something really weird happen in rooms. Or sometimes you have to do a certain thing to change the room layer, and it's annoying, but like it makes complete sense as to why it's a thing. Like the Dark Oasis, Sky Temple key needing main power bombs makes complete sense in terms of from a game coding standpoint.
At the same time, it doesn't though, because you're supposed to have power bombs and light suit and dark visor at that point anyway. So
yeah. And he doesn't want to fall into that middle safe zone. In the room back there.
That'll trigger an ink fight.
Yeah, the room back there triggers an ink fight and it takes forever.
But you have power bombs and light beam, so it's not a big deal. But you don't want to trigger it anyway, because it's just a waste of time.
Yep.
So this key right here, this is the key that does not exist until you have the main power bomb upgrade. This is the sole reason why main power bombs
are gotten over a power bomb expansion.
Over a power bomb expansion is required.
Yeah.
Because getting a power bomb expansion would be faster, but you would only have one.
And even in any percent, like it's literally the only reason you fight main power bomb guardian. I'm like pretty sure, unless there's some other room layer it changes that I don't know of. I don't think it changes any other layers other than that one. So. Actually, I think it's getting the main power bomb upgrade, not just defeating power bomb guardian. Because like if you
getting the main power bomb upgrade.
If you beat main power bomb guardian and you leave the room because you already have power bombs or something, the main power bomb expansion disappears. You reload the room, you didn't get it, the layers don't change, so it's actually like impossible to complete your file.
Yes.
And screw attacking over Sand Canyon, so he doesn't take the cannon, so he doesn't lose his Morph Ball invulnerability, because it makes your life a lot easier against the final bosses, and just in general, having Morph Ball invulnerability makes your life a lot easier.
So the secret world coming up is pretty funny. So he's gonna warp to Great Temple, but the Violet Translator cutscene is still there. So he needs to skip that again, but he's gonna go out of bounds in a silly way. You'll see it.
Because he also needs to get behind an Emerald Translator gate anyway. So like screw tagging over is just gonna be useless because he needs to get behind a different translator gate. So he just needs to do a secret world here.
It's very silly.
Yeah, it is pretty silly. And hooray for Room Ring making this possible.
Yeah, you literally just jump on top of Umos and you just jump out of bounds. That's literally all you have to do.
Yep.
Echoes.
Yeah. I guess you could say wall crawling in Great Temple is annoying.
It really is annoying.
The rooms are shaped funny. The geometry's funny. It's just not.
There's invisible ceilings.
Yeah, I mean, like the rooms aren't overly big, but like transitioning doors and stuff, it's not fun. It's just a hassle.
So he needs to stay out of bounds because, as Cordy said, he needs to bypass the Emerald Translator gate. He can technically go through any other one first, but he wants to get the most annoying one out of the way first, so...
Plus there's like a save point.
Yeah, there's a save point as well.
So it makes your life easiest just to take that one, so you can save, like, if Echoes happens, you gotta have a nice save point.
Echoes decides to be Echoes.
And just, well, hey, it's like, I'm gonna crash right now for no reason. Because that happens.
So this is a ceiling warp. I don't think we've explained this before.
I mean, he's done a few, but yeah, we just mentioned
We
it.
never explained it. So a ceiling warp works by having the room on the wrong map. It has to be on the wrong map. And basically, if you're on the wrong map, the collision is very, very strange in that room for whatever reason. But if you get enough downward momentum and you're at a good angle, or at a good angle rather, it can be both. You can clip through the ceiling of the room and get back in bounds, and you have to touch the door to transition the room. So,
Like, and fall, almost fall. Like,
yeah.
kind of low into the sit because the collision is kind of weird. But then when you unmorph, it forces you into the room.
So sometimes when you see him turn a ceiling warp, he'll bomb jump first to get that downward momentum.
Mm-hmm. And in some ceiling warps are like super easy. Some of them are really picky and just annoying.
Yeah, some rooms cannot be ceiling warps, so because of how the room is and the collision of the room.
And here's where, so these secret worlds in general, because in Sky Temple Grounds, I think that's what Dark Temple Grounds is called.
Yeah, it's called Sky
Grounds.
Temple.
Yeah. The morph ball tunnels, they're shaped really funny. So you have to do this, you have to do the secret worlds kind of differently, and they're really annoying in general. And you have to do it to bypass these secret doors.
And this one is the most annoying one to bypass.
I disagree. But,
Well,
you know.
I would disagree too, but I think the one in Aegon's side is more annoying.
Yeah. It really just
So-
kind of depends.
He's just wall crawling until he gets to this room. Then he's gonna get the key in Anger Reliquary, and he's gonna have to do another secret world in that room to get back, because obviously the secret relic is
The
still
secret
away.
world he's going to do an Ing Reliquary. He's going to have the game transition to the wrong room, and it's not needed. But I mean, I've never actually tried it, but it apparently, I guess, makes the secret world quite a bit easier. And this one's notorious for being pretty difficult. I can recall taking half an hour of just pressing the B button before.
It's very annoying.
Yeah. So I believe having it transitioned on the wrong room helps with this one immensely.
You'll see another secret world where you have to be untransitioned shortly. Well, not shortly, but soon. So he has to bonk on this tree here for it to
You
squeeze him out of
screw attack
bounds.
against it. There's like a little branch that's like just above, like just the perfect height. Like I don't even know why it's there. It's just literally there, and you can screw attack into it for whatever reason, and then you don't go directly out of bounds. The game kind of puts you half bounds. You kind of got to wiggle your way out.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing there, you fall back in bounds, which is why it can take forever if you don't know what you're doing. But like when you realize you have to wiggle out of bounds, it's quite a bit easier.
So now he's out of bounds again, because Echoes. Now he has to wall crawl back so he can get past the secret lock, and then he has to go out of bounds again when he gets to the light world. So most of this run is spent out of bounds.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to skip a lot of stuff.
I don't
Basically,
know about
6% skips everything.
yeah.
Pretty much everything.
I don't know about with the new route with MBI, but I know before MBI, I believe any percent spent 14% of the route out of bounds. 10% is like almost the RP collection in bounds.
Yeah, there's only one I think they go out of bounds for, which is in
Yeah,
Sanctuary for Spider Guardian.
yeah. Skipping Spider, like everyone wants to skip Spider Guardian.
Yeah.
No one likes fighting Spider Guardian.
And no one likes. Like, in 100% of runs, he is the worst boss in the game. Like, I can tell you that. If you make a single mistake, you lose 20 seconds right there.
Yeah.
If you make another, it's another 20. It just adds up.
Like no matter how small a mistake, so it's
No
like,
matter how small a mistake, if you miss a bomb at the start of a round, oh, there goes 30 seconds. So he's going to this elevator room to get out of bounds because this is the easiest out of bounds entrance.
Yeah,
You
there's
can-
another one.
There's
the
another
morph
one.
ball.
Yeah, you can screw attack into it, but this
But that
one's
one-
easier.
That one's weird because, like, as I said again, in Temple Grounds and Sky Temple Grounds, a lot of the morph ball tunnels are shaped kind of funny and different. And the
this
one
is a square.
and since it's like a square like that, in order to actually screw attack out of bounds, you have to bonk and get the game to send you backwards, like into the morph ball tunnel with your bonk, which is not as easy as it sounds. It's like really annoying. It's like the secret world they just did just by jumping is like way easier.
So you'll see him jumping up on this slope here because he needs to touch the load trigger for this room.
Actually, he manually unloaded the previous room.
Oh, he did.
Doesn't have to.
Well,
Yeah.
most of the time you would see people jump up there to hit that load trigger, but
The trigger.
he manually unloaded the
But
room.
since he manually unloaded the room, just get close to the door and load the next room.
Yeah.
If he didn't manually unload the last room, that would crash the game because everything's loaded, and the game would just kind of just be like, nope, and crash.
So when he gets back in bounds, there's this
that's why he
really
manually unloaded the room.
There's this gate that blocks you. Like, you can break it with a power bomb normally in a casual playthrough, because you're supposed to have scanned it first. But it's very strange, because you can't power bomb it from the other side, but if you, like, leave and re-enter the room after you do something in there, then it just lets you break it. It's very strange. You can also break it with screw attack.
Yeah, I don't think you have to reload the room to break with the screw attack. Oh, you might actually. Oh, actually, that doesn't make sense. Because I know... Oh, I know why. Because he never scanned at the beginning of the game. He never scanned at the beginning of the game. So the game thinks it still needs to be, like, scanned to be brought up. Reload the room.
So, as like no surprise, he's going to be going out of bounds again very shortly. Because he needs to get another Sky Temple key to bypass a secret lock. And this secret lock is very interesting. Because on the other side of that secret door, it's a super missile lock because Retro can figure out where to put the secret targets. So, they just put a super lock there instead. So, and I personally find this secret world the most annoying secret world in 6%. I was about to say secret percent.
I've
makes
jokingly
sense.
said this is, as opposed to 7%, I've jokingly said this is the worst part of 6% as opposed to 7% because the ink swarm doesn't make noise.
But,
Whereas, since he skipped it, it's making this noise. So hopefully he gets it quickly.
you would think that he's trying to screw attack into this morph ball hole, but he's not. He's trying to bonk off the very tip of the morph ball hole so he can clip himself out of bounds by knocking himself to the right.
It,
And this is
See, I
very
didn't even-
annoying.
I didn't even realize that at first, like when I was first trying it. I was trying to screw attack into the morphle tunnel and I was really confused why it wasn't working and my ears hurt. So like, if
He's
you're doing
gotta work
7%,
himself out.
the noise doesn't occur, so it's kind of nice.
So this is a cursed lake. This is Cordy's favorite room. He got lost here in an 8%.
Yeah, how they put the super missile door on the other side and you'll be able to like see that door, like why not just make it one side?
By the way, surprise, there's
Seekers?
another secret world in this room.
Well, like if they made it just like one side Seekers, like you wouldn't have to do the secret world. Like you're not even supposed to see it on the other side. Like why?
And the last key is the easiest key to get, but these first two are really annoying.
Yes, the first two, especially if you've never done them before. The first two, the secret worlds form, are really not fun if you've
So-
never done them before.
So you see the super missile lock on that door right there. It's really silly.
Yeah.
Retro just couldn't figure out where to put the secret target, so they made it a super missile lock instead.
Yeah. Retro. Actually, wait, Jeff, you're wrong. The last secret world in the game that you do is actually, like, super hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah. It's, like, definitely the hardest secret world in the game. Just as the Echoes thing, the last secret world you do, is, like, literally the hardest one. Because Retro, and because Echoes.
So he has to go out of bounds again. Because he needs to get back to the ship so he can get the last Sky Temple key, but this one's simple, just screw attack the Morphle hole. Not that hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has to walk all his way back to the ship so he can refill, save, do whatever, and then get the last Sky Temple key.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I'm just gonna warn you now, if you see a Morphle hole, prepare for him to go out of bounds.
Yeah, probably.
I'm just gonna let you guys know that.
And this is why we say the Temple Grounds Sky Temple keys are kind of annoying. Like, they're not bad, the secret worlds and stuff, but like, and then you have to do so much out of bounds just to get them all, because translators are huge in traversing Temple Grounds.
So he's letting the room load around him because it's faster.
Yeah. Makes life easy too when you let a room load around you, because you don't have to do anything, just loads bounds.
Oh, I've never seen that ghetto show up before.
Yeah, you're right.
So another Morphle hole, screw attack, you know.
Yeah, you
Needs
know
to
the drill by now.
bypass. Yeah, he needs to bypass the super door.
Everyone wants screw attack. Is this what you wanted?
I actually crashed on this door once, and I don't know why. I guess it's because I touched
Really?
the football tunnel at the top and transitioned it at the same time.
I feel like I've done that though. I mean, I guess you touched it and transitioned at the same time, I guess. The game tried to transition the room twice.
I guess
Time? I
that's
don't know.
why he went on the Morphle tunnel to transition.
Yeah, I don't know. Echoes.
So that's another scene.
Echoes.
He touched the door so he could transition this room back. So.
Yeah, because he was on the wrong room.
And this is one of two of the last secret worlds in the game. Well, in this room. So he's going to go to Abandoned Base, which is the
you never really see this room.
Get the Torvis.
Mm-hmm.
Routes that don't wall crawl to Torvis. You go through Abandoned Base and do a ghetto jump up here. It's not a bad ghetto jump, but if you fail it twice, you're dead. So sometimes it's better just to ward. Sometimes it's just worth it to wall crawl Torvis. So it's just a simple triple ESJ to get out of bounds. It's very easy. You're gonna wall crawl past the super missile lock.
Yeah, it's like a weird secret world, because, like, you never go there, like, ever. So, the thing is, this last secret world coming up is, like, ridiculous.
It's
So,
really hard.
mm-hmm. It's just super annoying. Hate doing it.
Morphle hole, screw attack. Yep.
Just basic. Basic OB
So-
shenanigans. And you get to see what rooms look like from out of bounds, so it's kind of cool.
He's going to be leaving this. He's going to transition to the next room, But he's going to transition back to this room because that's the only way he can get out of bounds in the next room, and it's a very hard secret world, so hopefully he can do it.
Yeah.
So you got wrecked, Cordy.
Huh?
You got wrecked.
Oh, I got wrecked. Oh, dang.
So yeah, this secret world is very hard. It requires you to hold up on the analog stick while the room is untransitioned.
Yeah.
It just gets you out of bounds, but it's very precise and it's frame perfect.
Okay, it's not though. So basically, what happens is you hold forward on the control stick. Since the room's untransitioned, the game thinks you're in the other room. So the load triggers from that other room are still there. So as you're walking in that direction, you hit a load trigger and you're in. Just
So
instantly.
this is
Just
the
hit a load
last.
trigger to unload the room he was in.
This is the last out of bounds you'll be seeing in the run. Because now it's just getting to the final bosses and beating them.
Mm-hmm.
He only had one death this run, and he had to reset 4 times for Grand Abyss, but
Okay.
he only had one death.
And MBI.
Which is pretty good for a marathon.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. Pretty good as
It could've got way worse.
it's an underestimate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely very good for a marathon run. So now it's just final bosses. It can be kind of annoying without, like, a lot of beam ammo, missiles, and other things, but you have MVI, so it makes it easier.
Mm. MBI is funny. It's not even. And it's just. It's funny. So it's just Emperor Ing in 3, and Dark Samus 3, and probably 4.
Yeah, Dark Samus is pretty much free. But if you're doing hard mode low percent, it's not that much different until you get here.
The bosses are quite a bit. Like Emperor Ing is so much harder on hard mode. It's not even.
Yeah, I died 6 times on hard mode, but on normal mode I didn't die, so...
Yeah. It's like normal mode is like first try, beat them all, easy. Hard mode it was like died for years.
So the normal strat for Emperor is to use Super Missiles or Annihilator Beam
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
one-cycle him,
You can one cycle with Annihilator sequence.
but actually he doesn't have any of those, so he has to go for 2-cycle with Light Beam. So sometimes he substitutes with missiles because when
Ammo's
the
scarce.
tentacles are like doing that attack when they're going through the light portals and they're changing to light, they become more resistant. Well, they become resistant to light beam, so you would have to use dark beam for it to be as effective. But using missiles is more accurate.
So then this with it. Yeah, it's
Yeah, this
it's so much easier.
This is a joke with MVI. It's not hard, it's just annoying without MVI.
Yeah.
Because those things, those little puddle things, they just troll the hell out of you.
Sometimes, by some tentacles, they can literally appear right under you, and there's nothing you can do. You're waiting for a tentacle to spawn, and like an inlet literally just appears right under you and hits you off. So Emperor Ing 3 is vulnerable to screw attack.
Yeah, he has a hitbox underneath Emperor. Emperor Ing has a hitbox underneath him. This doesn't work on Trilogy, so don't try it, but there's a hitbox underneath Emperor Ing you can hit by screw attacking, and screw attacking does a lot of damage to him, so you can... They're...
36 a frame, I think.
If you... do it at a precise enough angle, you can kill him with one go. But
Yeah.
it's very hard, so most
And
of the time you'll
if
get
he
2 or
jumps,
3.
you can kill him in like, I think it's 28 frames or whatever. If he jumps, he's like dead or something.
Yeah.
If you do it right. Like,
So-
it can be quick.
Dark Samus, you know,
Oh, I guess it's also worth mentioning when Emperor 3 doing the lightning attack, if you scoop a certain way, you can kind of crash the game.
yeah. But luckily he did
So-
not crash.
Dark Souls.
This is a pretty straightforward fight. You can actually skip Dark Samus 4, which is when she goes into that phase-on orb and shoots phase-on at you and you shoot it back at her. But it
Oh,
eliminates
then
all
it's
the
quite a bit more
RNG.
challenging.
It eliminates all the RNG, right? But it's RNG.
Yeah, basically.
Because
With Dark Samus
sometimes
4,
she can decide to go straight to the center or be nice to you. Most of the time she is nice, but most of the time as well she'll go to the center, so it's random.
yeah. And the
This-
thing is Dark Samus 4, you really need to and waste a lot of time. So like, oh, we found Dark Samus 4 skip. This is awesome. It gets rid of all the luck. No, because sometimes she'll just go straight to the center and you can't even attempt it.
The skip that
It's
skips
2 minutes.
RNG is RNG.
Literally the last thing your run can cost you 2 minutes and it's out of your control.
You can lose your run here in any category because she's like, oh, I'm going to the center, fuck you.
Yeah. And also screw attack works in Dark Samus. It works on a lot of bosses actually.
But for low percent, it's really hard to do DS4 skip.
Because you can't keep her in her shield that long because of missiles.
And missiles.
If you want to do Dark Samus 4 skip and low percent, you almost have to do it with multiple screws instead of using Dark Beam. Beam's quite a bit easier equal screw attacks.
Yeah.
But, like,
Screw attack is
it takes
definitely way
longer and more
faster.
ammo, so.
Screw attack is way time.
Yeah, I got it, don't worry.
Okay.
2:27:24.
GG, I'm 177.
Pretty good. I mean, touch some resets, like it's definitely
Okay.
sub 2 game time.
One death. 13 minutes lost over resetting.
Oh yeah,
GA.
that's sub 2 game time, for sure.
Yep.
Nicely done.
Is this a segmented PB for you? Or
I think it is. Yeah. I think it's segmented PB. I think it's segmented PB's like 201. I don't remember.
But yeah, good job in getting positive first try. That was really impressive.
Yeah, so we'll let the ending play out and then we'll move into setup for the next game.
Yeah,
So if you guys have any closing things you want to say.
Echoes. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes for the Nintendo GameCube, developed by Retro Studios as Zoid.
You know, it's developed by Retro Studios and published by Nintendo of America with help from David Zoid Kirsch et al. Yeah, Echo's really good.
MBI
Nintendo
owns.
didn't really want to screw him over today, so that's nice. He likes to screw people over. So,
I would like to give special shoutouts to MG for
yep, shout out to you too.
making M177 reset over GA. It's his fault.
Yeah, everything is MG's fault, but also shouts to Miles, like 6%, it was kind of done more like a challenge. Miles ended up, I mean, some people like speedran it, Metroid 177 included. Miles found quite a bit more speed strats in general for like risky play and stuff and he found the new MGI method and stuff, so to Miles, he really evolved low percent in the last month, even, so.
But you also have to thank MG because he let M177 get quad skip first try.
Yeah, and Metro 177 he was definitely the pioneer in 6% speedrunning, but it's definitely evolved quite a bit thanks to Miles recently.
If you like low percent, M177's the guy to go to. He's very good at low
Yeah,
percent.
definitely.
He's working on a 21% segmented run, and he's optimizing it. He's also working on optimizing 6%. But yeah, that's Metroid Prime 2 Echoes for Nintendo GameCube, lowest percentage completion possible.
Hope you enjoyed.
FYI, the entire ending's about 8 minutes long, so...
Yeah, and you can't, so like...
Yeah, it's fine. We'll let it run to get the in-game time.
So, in
Yeah.
Prime 1, you can't skip any of the ending cutscenes, but you can fast forward the credits. In Prime 2, you can't skip any of the cutscenes or fast forward the credits. In Prime 3, you can skip the ending cutscenes, but you can't fast forward the credits.
And the Prime 3 credits are way longer.
It doesn't feel that long, honestly, but it's probably because I don't have to watch the ending cutscenes.
It's like 5 minutes of credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prime 2 credits are about 4.5 minutes long or something.
So.
And it just turns out that
Really?
177 had muted for this entire run.
So we could have talked.
You could have talked like everything during Quadscape.
Well,
He didn't
I
even
didn't
know we
know.
were giving it serious stuff.
I wanted to ask it, but I didn't want to ruin his focus. Dang.
Oh well, it's fine.
So yeah, you should definitely give Metroid 177 a follow. He's very good at Metroid Prime 1
Oh
and
yeah,
Metroid Prime
give
2.
him a follow. He's very good, very entertaining. Right now, as the F says, we're gonna have 41% segmented run, which is insanely optimized.
You should
We'll
also
follow
follow the
that.
guys doing the commentary because they're good runners and they know a lot about the game.
I'm
And you guys
bad.
did a great
I'm
job
hardly
explaining
good.
everything.
I'm hardly good. I got lost in key collection on TV.
I
Still
held
tied for
left.
second. It's still tied for second, so I have that over DF.
I held left during quad skip and fell all the way down because I thought I could land on something.
I don't know what the fuck Zerd is, so. I thought so.
What are my thoughts on Zerd? Metroid Prime 2 Echoes from Nintendo GameCube. Hi, Outlaw. So next you have Metroid Prime 3 Corruption with Maelstrom here
For the Nintendo Wii?
for the Nintendo Wii.
God damn it.
Oh.